Oh, isn't he cute? I've had a couple of requests to go more in depth with the pen tool, so that's what I'm here to do. Now, you might be wondering what this little cute guy is on here for, and we'll get to that in just a second. But the first thing that I want to do is show you the pen tool and what it does, okay? So, right over here are these two buttons, okay? Two tools. Now, if you click on this, you're going to get some more options, but all those options are available if you click Shift, Control, or Alt, okay? And over here, you've got two options, and you're going to use those, okay? So we'll get into those in a second. So how does the pen tool work? And what is the point of the pen tool? The pen tool is designed to create shapes, very specific shapes, okay? And it creates shapes by creating these dots, or they're called points or Beziers, or whatever you want to call them. These little dots, and I'm just clicking here, okay? Clicking, clicking, clicking. And let's say I want to make a shape. I'm just going to keep clicking. And then when I finally get to my first Bezier point, I'm just going to click on that, and you see the little circle there. That means this is a closed shape, okay? So if I go over here to the black arrow, I can just select that, and that's a shape. This is not a layer, okay? This is more closely related to Illustrator. If you look over here to our layers panel, you're not going to see a new layer because this is completely independent of all that. In order to see the paths, they're on another panel entirely called the Paths panel, okay? And you have your work path here. You can name it something, random path. And how do you get the Paths panel? Okay, now let's say let's go back to 0 here. Okay, I want to close that, close that, close that. Okay, so now we have our three windows, our famous three windows. How do I get the Paths window? We just go up to Window, Paths, and it appears, okay? And here you have your paths. Now, what I usually do, the way it's usually set up in the configuration of Photoshop, when you open it up, it usually has layers and paths in the same little window here. And you can add as many palettes as you want into a little window. All you have to do, see what I did? You just grab it here at the tab, drag it over, and now they're in the same thing. They're in the same little window here, and everything adapts for that. Okay, so just a real quick overview of the pen tool. I'm going to click on this guy and delete him. All right, so let's try another path. Now, a path wouldn't be all that interesting unless you could make it curvy and make it all kinds of shapes. So how do we do that? Well, I'm going to click here, and we've got our one box there, or one little dot, point, selection point, whatever you want to call it. Now I'm going to put another one, but this time instead of just clicking, I'm going to hold it and I'm going to drag to the right. Or I can hold it and drag to the left, and you see that changes the curve that I've got there, and it creates this really cool curve. Now, one thing that throws people off is this handle that I'm messing with is not part of the graphic. This is just something that we use to control the angle of the curve, okay? So see how that is? You can pull this way over here or pull it way over here, and you start getting these shapes. Now, if we want to make a complete shape out of this, we can click again. I'm going to click down here and drag again. See, and now we can create a shape. This is like a wave kind of, or we can do it over here. You know, this doesn't really look like much of anything, but this is kind of the building block of making shapes. Now we can click on this guy again and finish the shape. And it all ends at a point here because this doesn't have any Bezier handles. Okay, that's what we call these things. That when you select, now I'm going to select on the white arrow, that will allow us to click on these points and move the arrows around. The black one, the black arrow allows you to select on the entire image, okay? And the white arrow, the white selection tool, will allow you to, sometimes you have to click off of it, click on the line, and then click on the point. And that will allow you to click on this and start changing it. Now, you can move, these don't have to be the same size by any means. You can make the one size small, one size large, this size large, this size small. Oops. Or if you click on Alt, you'll get this little guy. You get the ability to clicking Alt. Oops. Am I clicking Alt? There we go. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, once you detach these two like that, okay, when I had it like this, where these two are connected and they're both moving, this side and this side are both moving, if I click Alt and I click one side, now these two are disconnected, okay? These two don't move together. So you don't need to click anything after you've disconnected them. But if you want to connect them again, then you can hit Alt again, and now they're connected again, okay? So that's what I was doing there. All right, now if you have a shape selected and you go over to the layers, all you have to do is click on the this guy, the new filler adjustment layer, and you can create, if you do solid color, it'll create a shape that is based on whatever path is selected at the time. Okay, so let's do that again. Sorry. We'll go over here. We have our path selected. Okay, now you can hit, if you hit Control, that'll give you the selection like that. It's selected now. Or if you hit, I'll hit Control D to unselect. Or if you hit Shift and you hit that, then you have your shape back again the way it was. Okay. So get in there and just play with this. I mean, I'm not the expert. I've had a love-hate relationship with the pen tool for a long time. So I kind of like, I go back and forth with it. I forget stuff. I've probably had to relearn the pen tool like 20 times. So don't get frustrated. A lot of teachers will just be like, they'll show you everything and they're like, oh, well, you should remember this forever. And the truth is, you get into Photoshop and a lot of times it's like, okay, now how did that work? And that's most likely how it's going to be when you start working with it. So just kind of, this is to show you what's possible. And then, you can go back and when you need it, you can say, oh, I remember this worked this way. Let me see how that worked again. And you can even come back to this tutorial or just read about it in the notes. Okay. So like I said, you go back to fill layers. And if you want to turn this into just a shape with a fill, the same way that you have these guys over here, You've got a circle that's a shape, that's a vector shape. Let me delete that. Go back to paths, shift click, layers, solid color, boom, and now you have that as a vector shape, okay? I know that's kind of complicated, but practice makes perfect. Why don't you go ahead and try to do that once or twice, and of course now you can move this around and you can still edit this. Okay, so if I click on this guy, I can go in and adjust this. Or if I want to change the color, I can just click on it twice and change the color. And this is really, really, really powerful, okay? Especially when you're doing things like logos. So that kind of leads me up to our next topic. I've got a channel called the Dachshund channel. And it's basically just for Dachshund fans. I've had Dachshunds my whole life. I love Dachshunds. But what I wanted to do was to create a logo. And I want to tell you about kind of a secret. I don't know if it's really a secret or it's just something that a lot of logo designers don't talk about. But most logo designers, if they are not artists, what they will do is trace images. And a lot of them won't admit it, but it happens a lot. Okay, so if I wanted to have, let's say for example, I want to have, I'm just going to write out some text here. Okay, I'm going to put the Dachshund, is that right? Dachshund channel. And you know what, that's not a great color, or is it a great, why is it, for graphic design purposes, why is this not a good color? Because you can't see it. You need contrast. Okay, so let's do some contrast. Put something we like. There we go. That looks pretty good. The Dachshund channel, kind of hard to read, so I'm going to put Ultra, which is a Google font. That wasn't it. Ultra. There we go. Ultra. There we go. All right. This is kind of a popular font. The Dachshund channel, I'll probably make the pretty small, put it on top. Oops. Okay, the Dachshund, and then maybe make channel another font. I'll do I don't know, Helvetica regular, and then I'll put that underneath, make it small. This isn't, technically related to the pen tool, but hopefully this will give you an idea of the kind of stuff I do. Okay, the Dachshund channel. That looks terrible. Okay, well what we need to do is get our window, well let's just get our panel, character panel, and let's drag this and put the paragraph panel and the character panel together. And we're going to go up to the line spacing. I'm just like scrolling back with my scroll bar on my mouse, make this a little bigger, widen it out so they don't fight with each other. Okay, it's good for all 2 seconds we put into that. Okay, the Dachshund channel, we're gonna want to make this go up a little bit. Take this, there we go. The Dachshund channel. Okay, that doesn't look great, but it's starting to, that could be something potentially in the future. Okay, now we want to have this dog. We can't obviously put a dog. First of all, we don't have the rights to this picture, but we can't just sit a dog like that because that's not a logo. A logo has to be a shape. I mean, look at the best logos out there. They're all, a combination of cool shapes. I mean, okay, for example, what's one of the most famous logos out there? The Nike swoosh. Okay, how do you do that? Let's see. There's one point here. There's this, then this. Look at that. There you go. One of the most well-known logos in the world. Done. That's it. I mean, it's not quite. I would need to adjust it a little bit, but of course, there we go. Done. All right. So let's go with the Dachshund. What are we going to do? How do we get this into a shape? Well, there's a couple of ways to do it, but the way we're going to do it today is we're just going to trace around this guy with the pen tool. So let's do it. Let's get into it. I'm going to grab the pen tool and I'm going to zoom. I'm going to hit Control plus, and then I'm going to hit the space bar so we get our little hand there. And let's just start going. Now, first of all, you're always going to want to drag a little bit to the right as you're going because you don't have any straight lines here. Even the straightest parts are a little bit curvy. So I'm going to hit with my my left mouse key, drag. And what you can do is just take any image you can find on Google that has a shape like, that you want to make. And I'm just dragging this along. Now I'm dragging it down, dragging it over to the left, over to the right. And this isn't going to be perfect. I mean, I could spend, half an hour on this, but that's not going to do anybody any good. So I'm just dragging around. There we go. Oops. There we go. If you make a mistake, just hit Control Z or Control Alt Z if you need to go back more than one step. Now the only thing we want to do here is to create a, now if you, one thing I'll note, you might notice is when I'm, let's say I'm dragging this you know, out like that, and I didn't put the point in the right place. Well, you can hit the space button and move where you're at, okay? So if I don't hit the right place, I can go, okay, oops, over here, no, it should be over here. Oops, over here, no, hit the space bar, over here, okay, there we go. There we go, there we go, there we go, just real quick, I'm just dragging it along the line. And you only want to put curves where there are curves. So here, you don't have to have as many little lines, okay? You can just drag, drag, drag. And I'm just dragging it the way the cursor's moving. You can see kind of how it's going. Drag, drag, drag. For the sake of time, little patitas, little perito, ya vamos. Da, da, da. Oops! Control Z. Oops, Control Z. And if I'm doing this too fast for you, just remember this just takes a little bit of practice. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm still not very good at it. All right, well, you see that, let's see, one of these, I believe we're done. Is that, let me go back a couple of steps. Control Alt Z, Control Alt Z. Okay, let's just go back here. And okay, there we got, you see our circle there. Is that even a circle? What is that? Okay, it's kind of a circle. All right, so now we have our shape. So let's go over to the pass. And look at that, we've got our little dog here. All right, we can even get rid of this picture. I'm going to turn off the eyeball and hit the selection key. Oops, I screwed up the nose a little bit. So Control plus, let's just go in there and fix that. I'm going to grab this point and just move it down here. Move it all down here, move it down here. Actually, we can just, delete. I believe, you know, I'm used to working more in Illustrator with the pen tool. So you can do a thing called join. No, that doesn't work. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I just clicked the pen tool and clicked this one and clicked this one, and it filled it in. So now, you know, we can go through and adjust this. I'm going to click this. It looks like the poor puppy is melting a little bit. So let's just bring these in. Bring these in. Change our points. All right, that's kind of okay. I mean, that's not perfect, but let's zoom back. All right, his face is a little, you know, we can always take this guy and just readjust it to his face. So let's zoom in here, Control H just to get rid of that. Paths, there we go, and let's just move this guy in here, move this here. There we go, that's a little better. Give our little guy his nose. And let's see, let's change this a little bit. Okay. And you can also grab the, that's not good. What happened over here? You can also grab the lines. It's not the best way to do it, but like if you want to grab a line, you can grab the line and move that. I don't know if that's taboo or not, but I do it sometimes. It doesn't, it's very hard to control the line if you're grabbing the line like that. All right, now let's see what we've got, okay? We got our work tool, we got our work path. Let's delete, or at least make that disappear. Okay, Control minus, and here is our dog. Okay, now that looks pretty good for a salchicha. Now, how do we make that into a shape layer? We just did it, okay? So this is selected. I'm gonna hit Shift select. Okay. Now, let me show you something else. Like I said, you can always get to different functions whenever you click something with Shift, Control, or Alt. So if instead I click that with Control, you'll see that I get a selection. So that is what you would use if you wanted to create like an alpha channel. Okay? So selections like this are good for alpha channels, but we want to have the shape. I'm going to hit Control D because Control D unselects whatever you have. Okay, so now we have our shape selected, okay? But it's not a selection, it's just the shape is there. This isn't a layer or anything, okay? That's a little bit complicated, but let's say for example, okay, let's follow this the whole way through. If I wanted to create an alpha channel on this dog, okay? And I have this path, and I want to make this path the alpha channel. I'll hit Control, click on it, and then I can go over to the alpha channel and click on that. And now I have an alpha channel that's that shape, that's made from that shape, okay? But that's not what we're trying to do. And if you don't, if one of the common errors that I think you would see from kind of a novice, let's do delete layer mask, logo designer, is let's say we have that, and let's hit Control again, select it, then you can go over here, and if that's selected, you can go to pixels and just fill that in. Okay, so let's make this horrible color, and let's just drag across with the square tool. We're just going to fill all that in. Oops. Okay, yeah, I made a mistake. Let me go up to this and do pixels. Sorry. And I'm going to drag over that, and it's going to fill in everything that's selected. If you ever do a fill, if you're ever filling something and there's a selection, it's going to always fill that selection, okay? So let's say, for example, I have a circle selected, and you're going to see the dancing dots. Okay, if I take the the square, it doesn't matter what shape I drag over here. Whatever is in this circle is going to appear. So I'll drag here, and that little part's going to appear in the circle. The only part of this image that you're working with is the part that's selected in the little dancing dots, okay? Or let's say I wanted to draw a shape. I've got a heart shape, okay? Just so you understand. Okay, this part is selected. I'm going to draw that shape over here. Nothing's going to happen. Why? Because the only part of the image that I'm working in is where this is selected. So now I'll draw in there, and just that little part is going to work. Okay? So whatever is selected is what you're working with. So if I go over here and I select, Control click the dog, and I draw a square that's this color, if I draw it over here, nothing happens. Could not use the rectangle because the affected area is empty. It doesn't overlap the selected area. So let's put it here. Just going to appear where the dog is selected. Okay? And that's a concept that's important to understand. Okay? Of course, if I drag over the whole thing's going to be filled. But this is not a vector. This is a roster. So if we make it small, enter, and then big again, it's going to look like dog poop. Okay, so we want to make sure this is a shape. Okay, so we're going to hit Shift. Instead of hitting Control, we're going to hit Shift this time. And now, see, we've selected the shape. And we go to Solid Color, Fill, and this is going to create a shape for us. All right? And now this is a vector. If we click over here to the selection, we can still edit this. And you can see why that is so powerful. You see? Now we can edit this. And you can always tell if a logo has been done the right way. I mean, maybe even this is kind of a cool thing to do. You know, who knows? But you can really do some powerful stuff as long as you keep things as a vector. Okay, now let's say that that's our logo. That looks more like a logo than, I don't know, whatever. Sometimes, and now, I can make that match. If I just click on that, I can make it match the words I have here, and actually the way that I have it on my thing is the part is over to the right. Actually, I don't remember. Let me see. Dachshund. I guess I can't do, oh, here we go. Dachshund. Nope. That has to be uppercase. So I'm just going to click on the arrow again and do Control Z. Sorry if I'm moving too fast, but I don't want to. Most of this is going to come out of practicing. And you need to get in there and start working with it. You need to be comfortable. I'm always working with my left hand over the keyboard, doing shortcuts. Just learn the shortcuts as it takes a little bit of time, but just sit there and hit like A, S, D, F, G, H. Just see what everything does. Just press every button, V. V is an important one because it always gets you the selection tool. All right. So I think that's about it for the pen tool. Just remember, Bezier handles are your friends. And, just get in there and practice. Like everything in Photoshop, I've taken literally almost every single Photoshop every class that I could possibly take. And it's great. You can sit there, and I'm the kind of guy, I like to watch them. I don't like to actually do the work while I'm there. Because I like to kind of prop myself up and lay back, and I'll watch everything because I want to know what's possible. You want to watch stuff like, go to YouTube, and you can go to lynda.com, and you can go to all these other places, and there's a lot of great instructors who will go through really, really in-depth classes on Photoshop. And what I usually do is I'll just watch everything because I want to know kind of how everything works. And then I'll forget it, but some part of my head will remember, hey, I know that you can do this in Photoshop. I don't remember exactly how it works, but let me go back now and, watch something on YouTube or watch my my class or whatever, and then you remember how it all works, but just get in there and practice. All right, guys? Thanks for taking this. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you in the next class.